I am Dana K. White of slobcomesclean.com and the author of Decluttering at the Speed of Life. Okay, so I'm doing a Q&A. I'm trying to do one of those monthly-ish, and I'm kind of casual tonight, but I'm in a recliner because I'm putting my feet up because they're still swollen after flying and plane getting delayed and it taking forever yesterday. Anyway, the way that I choose these questions is that they're the things I want to talk about. This is a great question. I did a video explaining my 2 decluttering questions. Take it there now is the second part of the first question, and it's the most important part. It's the most important thing in order to declutter without making a bigger mess. Okay, so the first question, where would I look for this first, determines where something goes. Okay, that is how I decide. That's how I determine, not decide. There's no decision. That's how I know where something is supposed to go in my house. And so the question, how do these questions help one declutter if nothing is actually leaving the house? Is this just for people who have already decluttered? No, this is the decluttering process. Absolutely, things are leaving the house, okay? This is step 4 in the decluttering process, okay? So at this point where you are asking the 2 decluttering questions, you have already gotten rid of all of the trash. That's step 1, 0 emotions, 0 decisions to be made. You have already removed all the easy stuff, which is the stuff that has an established home in your house, okay? So if you know where something goes, if you automatically go, oh, well, that goes in the top left cabinet in the kitchen next to the stove. If you know where something goes, you're not asking these 2 decluttering questions, okay? Because that is what is removed from the space during the easy stuff part of it, okay? So those are the things that go places. Donations have already been removed. Obvious things that just need to leave the house. That stuff is all gone. Okay, so by the time you get to the 2 decluttering questions, you are down to the stuff that you're like, I don't know what to do with this stuff. It doesn't obviously need to go stuff where you're stuck, where you're at the point where you would be asking some decluttering questions. You are asking them with the purpose of either giving them a home, okay, that didn't exist before because they weren't easy. They didn't have a home before. So they are in this spot. They shouldn't be in here. They are going to go to a home. So now at this point, when you're starting, it's clutter because it's just a random thing in here that shouldn't be in this place. It's clutter. Once it has a home, it's not clutter anymore. So that's decluttering. Make sense? And the point of that first decluttering question is either to give it a home or it's to give you the reality check that you would never actually go looking for. It triggers I wouldn't actually look for it. It gives you that real tangible, I did not have an answer for this first question, which means that I need to be honest with myself and say the real true answer to if I needed this item, would it ever occur to me that I already had one? Okay, so it leads you down to that purpose of this real reality check that does not happen if you're asking questions like, do I want this? Can I use this? Whatever. That reality check, do I want it? Yeah. Like there's no reality that has to happen there. And then also there's the container concept, which is the final step in the decluttering process, which is the making sure it actually, I only have what will comfortably fit into my house. So just because, yes, I would look for pens in this, on top of this desk does not mean that the entire desk can be completely covered with pens and then piled in this big pile because, well, that's where I look for pens first, so that's where they go. Yes, but then we also have to embrace the reality of the size of the space that I have to devote to these things. Okay? All right. So another plug for the book or for watching more videos, watch the container concept, watch the declutter, the questions, all those different things, because it is a whole process. Sometimes when you get hung up on one question, it can be because you're like, I want the one thought process that's going to change everything. And while the container concept does change everything, there's still getting started with the easy stuff, getting the trash out of there, giving yourself permission to blah, 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 finding how do you figure out where the homes for things are, all that kind of stuff. It all works together, the whole process. So get the book, Decluttering at the Speed of Life, or watch all the videos, whatever. Okay. or listen to the 300 podcasts. Okay. Second question is, there would be things I couldn't declutter without consulting with my husband or son. Okay. So saying the problem in this for me would be, there would be things that I couldn't declutter because I would have to wait for my husband or son. The key word that I hear, and I hear it because I have had the same experience, is would be. There would be, okay? Meaning I am predicting what's in that pile. I am predicting what is behind that closet door. I know there's clutter. I know that there are things in there that belong to my husband or my son. I'm not going to be able to deal with those legitimately, okay? That is a common thing for you to look at a mass of clutter and think there's something in there that's going to be really, really difficult. That's what the problem is going to be, so I'm just going to avoid that. Instead, remember that the first 3 steps of the decluttering process, trash, easy stuff, and declutter, have 0 emotions and make progress, and only progress will immediately make a visual impact, even if you don't get to the hard stuff. So go ahead to the space and look for trash, okay? Look for your trash, because here's the other thing that happens specifically on this question. I have an example. I have a post. I'll try to remember to link to it. Remind me to do that. Where I had exactly what you're talking about. I was like, oh, this little space by our breakfast table drives me crazy because, that's where my husband keeps his Bible study stuff, and it just kind of ends up piling and oh, it just looks awful. And I'm like, oh man, that's so hard to deal with because of that. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to see if there's obvious trash in there that I wouldn't have to ask him about. Okay. And guess what? There was. I also found stuff of mine. I found plenty of easy stuff that had randomly ended up there that had very definite homes, other places in the house. I took that stuff there, got rid of some donations, blah, blah, blah. And it looked shockingly better. It wasn't perfect, but we're going for better here, right? Shockingly better just when I did the stuff that had no sticking point. And you know what? As soon as he came home, he was like, now that he could see the space a lot better because, my stuff was gone, then he was like immediately saw a very large thing that he was like, oh, I don't need that anymore. But it was a piece of a big pile of clutter before that. Okay. So I'm just saying, anytime when you go, oh, well, this is what it would be like, any sticking point that you have, go ahead and start the process, because you know that when we do it this way, when we do the no mess progress and only progress decluttering method, then, which is my 5-step process, then you can do partial decluttering and make it better, and it's worth it. Okay. Oh, here's a good one. The question was about, let's say puzzles or books. Let's say you've collected all your puzzles from your house. They've been in random stacks and closets and places. You've put them in the place where you would look for them first. That's a cabinet. And now the cabinet is over full and can't even close because there's just not enough room for those. The question was, how do you choose your favorite puzzles or books first if you're not sure which ones are your favorite? Do I need to read them first or do the puzzles first? Remember, we are going on instinct, okay? This is supposed to be an instinctual kind of a thing, okay? It's not supposed to be something that you really, really, analyze and think about. And while I will say that sometimes, let's say that, here's a random frame and a photo. And so, yes, it is decluttering to stick the frame in the photo and go ahead and hang it on the wall because then it's in its final home. I am not going to say that we need to stop and read all the books and do all the puzzles, because it may take you forever to be able to get all your stuff done, okay? To get your decluttering done. So no, but I would say choose it according to what you want to read. Choose according to the puzzles that appeal to you the most. You see what I'm saying? So look at it as, okay, if I was going to do a puzzle, which are the ones that I would choose first, okay? As opposed, I'm not a puzzle person, but my guess is that I want to do that puzzle comes in the seeing the box. I know, sweetie. comes when you see the box. It does not necessarily come after you've finished the puzzle. Oh, I'm glad I did that puzzle. Do you see what I'm saying? It's the same. Okay, so that's what I would say is, which books do you want to read? Which books are the ones that you are first wanting to read? Oh yes, I definitely want to read that one. I definitely want to read that one. I definitely want to read that one. And then as you find more that you go, oh well, I really, really want to read this. Well, which one on this shelf do I not want to read as much as I want to read this one? Okay, and then I replace that. I do the one in, one out, because the shelf determines how many books I can keep or puzzles I can keep and my house not be under control. You can keep more, but if you want your house to be under control, you can't keep more than will fit in the space that you have. Okay, now this next one, this is a question that would have run through my mind as well, and that I very well might have asked. And I know that they're possibly kind of joking, but I just want to acknowledge that all your crazy stuff thoughts, they're welcome here. Okay, I get it. All right. And this question was, I'm pretty sure it was on the container concept video, which is a great one to share with your friends, because it seems to like really people grasp the concept really well from that one. But the question was, what if they stop making pens? And I get it. Like, I get that. I mean, I've had those same thoughts. Like, what if the world ended? I had this old iron bed frame and I never used it. Like, it was the greatest idea that never actually happened in my house. I bought it at a garage sale. I had hauled it all the way home from Kansas to Texas. Like, I was so proud of that thing. And then I never used it. And I knew it was time for it to go. And the thought that ran through my mind was that I had just seen a Three Stooges. They were cooking with a fire under an iron bed frame that had like the iron thing, you know, so they were using that basically. Here was the fire underneath it. And then they were putting their pots and stuff on top of the bed frame. There wasn't a bed on it anyway, although there could have been in the Three Stooges. And that was the thought. I was like, what if we all had to start cooking on fires in the backyard, and all the neighbors were really thankful because we could just build fires under this bed frame, this iron bed frame, and all cook our meals together. And wouldn't that be, y'all, that's where my brain goes. Okay, so your brand of crazy will fit in great with my brand of crazy. So even though there's probably a lot of people who might be like, are you kidding me, when you say, what if they stop making pens? I get it, I really do. Kind of like in the 2 decluttering questions video, I had to get over it. I mean, I had to take a deep breath and say, I don't like living in my house this way. I don't like my house being out of control with clutter everywhere. I don't like not being able to keep it under control or get it under control. And it was a choice that I made. And I said, okay, all these what if scenarios that I am really good at coming up with, they don't serve me very well. Like, that's not good. I had to let them go. And I had to start getting stuff out of my house. Also remember too, if pens are the thing that you really think your brain really goes there, don't start with pens. Start with something else that you don't like. Because the problem is when you have that mentality, then it's like you just kind of keep collecting and keep collecting and keep collecting indiscriminately. And then you fixate on the pens when in reality, there's all this stuff over here that you're like, well, of course that I don't need to keep. Go ahead and start getting rid of that. Start to experience what it's like to have less stuff in your house. Start to experience that, oh, when this area is under control and only has what will fit in the space that I have, I like my house better. I don't bump into things. I don't trip over things as much. When life gets crazy and things get out of place, there's less to get out of place. Like, all that experience that you gain is going to make you go, I see these pens differently now. Okay. I see the value of having a home under control. I see the value of a home that's easier to maintain, that I enjoy more. And I'm going to place my value on that. And I'm going to be able to take a deep breath and go, it's going to be okay. And then I'm just going to remind you, we kind of went through some stuff recently in the last year or so. We did, y'all. We went through times where a lot of people legitimately feared they would never have toilet paper again. And I don't personally know anyone who actually ran out. It was tough there for a little while. And I offered friends, hey, I've got some extra rolls. If you want an extra roll, come over here and get it. And here's the other thing too. If you love your pen so much, here's my guess. You're very creative. Kind of like my creative brain that pictured me saving the neighborhood with my iron bed frame Three Stooges kitchen. And I've had to realize, and I think the pandemic helped me go, I kind of enjoy the challenge, like in the moment of, like, I enjoyed coming up with recipes that were only using the ingredients that I could get at the store. I enjoyed rationing toilet paper to my family. I liked that challenge, which is the reason my brain goes to all the what ifs. You're probably also the same kind of person who, come here, sweetie, who would enjoy, burning a stick in the fire and then using that charcoal to write with in an actual end of the world scenario where they didn't make pens anymore. It's a guess. I don't know. Anyway, okay, this has been super rambly. Okay, I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye. You come be in the video? Come here.